This is the Umbrella Academy on TV Podcast Industries, and we're discussing the Umbrella Academy Season 3, Episode 10, Oblivion!
The battle's about to begin. I am one bell ring away from my prize. They're going to ruin everything.
Oh, if I had a nickel for every time I heard that, I'd have $1, which isn't that much money. But then again, there are those dollar stores which are quite reasonable.
That's that.
Welcome back, fellow Academy alumni. This is TV Podcast Industries, and we're discussing the finale of the Umbrella Academy Season 3. Yes, that is Episode 10, titled Oblivion, or, as I just gave you a rendition, Oblivion! It does just bring a lovely ring to the ears as you get into this finale, event-filled episode. I am one of your hosts, Chris, and I am joined by my illustrious co-host extraordinaire.
Yes, I'm one of your co-hosts, Derek. Yes, I'm also confused why Chris sang Oblivion. Don't worry. We'll let him away with it. It's a finale.
Just this once.
Hello there, fellow alumni. Yes, I am equally disturbed as one of the co-hosts, and I am John.
Yes, that is what we like to do here on TV Podcast Industries. Disturb you and delight you equally.
There you go.
Oh, yes.
That's what we try to do anyway.
Yes. There is so much to get through on this episode. We're going to speed directly into our discussions. But if you have not listened to us before, well, welcome again. Mm-hmm. But pop on over to our website at tvpodcastindustries.com, where you can essentially subscribe to each and every channel. And don't forget, we are also going to be covering a number of other shows in the future. So you can make sure if you subscribe to our main feed, you're going to get all the good stuff coming forward. We'll also do a wrap-up of the season, and we'll want your feedback, so make sure you send us your feedback to feedback@tvpodcastindustries.com, or head on over to any of our socials where you can leave us your thoughts there. But gentlemen, should we jump in to the very spoiler-filled discussions of Oblivion? Oh, yes.
I'm ready if you stop doing that, Chris.
Deal. That's how it's going to work.
Good
See,
stuff.
I just threaten you with song.
Mm-hmm.
You've really taken the danger and terror out of Hotel Oblivion by going Oblivion. That
like
sounds like
Danger
something
Zone.
from my disco days or something.
Oblivion.
I'm not that old. Oh my goodness.
Oh, sorry. It's a Cliff Richard?
No, it was Strauss.
The very best I'll give you is maybe the darkness, Chris. That's
okay, that's
probably
cool.
the height of it. But yes, let's get on to the details of the show. The show was created for television by Steve Blackman and Jeremy Slater. Did a great job overall on the season. Based on the comic book series by Gerard Way and Gabriel Ba. This episode was directed by Jeff King, who's directed a number of episodes this season, and the teleplay for this episode is by the creator of the show, Steve Blackman, and Robert Askins, doing his 5th episode of Umbrella Academy as well. Good stuff. John, do you want to give us the very short synopsis for Oblivion?
Most definitely. Shaken, but not stirred, the family confronts the deadly mysteries of the Hotel Oblivion and the growing suspicion that their mission is not what it seems.
A suspicion on the mission. It's always,
suspicion on the mission,
good to read.
indeed.
Let's get into our final times ever saying, what was your big moment from the Season 3 finale?
Probably your first time
first?
saying that. What's your favourite moment from the Season 3 finale, though, Chris?
It was not, but it's the last time I will say it of the
First
Umbrella.
and last time we'll say that. Good stuff.
Who wants to go first? Who wants to jump in? Because I'm happy to if we really want to.
I'm happy to go first. It was definitely Klaus in this episode. I mean, primarily just him returning to pester Reggie, who, whilst absolutely fascinated with the fact that he's managed to bring himself back from the dead into the Hotel Oblivion, but hasn't got time to work it out or experiment further, just kills him with the dull the dull kind of trophy kind of weight that he has, in order to kill him back again.
I loved Klaus in this. Robert Sheen for me has just been an absolute standout since season 1 and just continues to bring that annoying cousin brother that like you love to hate but you hate to love.
Yeah. Kind
of really is just there and like comes to a degree save the day.
Yeah.
Like he is a bona fide kind of distraction and delayer of time and tactics here. Especially, which I'm assuming John wants to bring up, the resurrection piece, where he brings back a dead member of the family.
Yeah, absolutely.
It certainly did.
I think we've said throughout the season, one of the interesting things about the character of Klaus is he's a real accidental hero. He's really central in almost everything that's happened throughout the season, but not for, something that he's tried doing or planned to do. He's just ended off being the one that discovered about the death of all the mothers. He's the one that discovered the entry portal into this other side of the Hotel Obsidian, by being shot, I suppose. But yeah, he's been involved in everything, but none by his own hand, which is always a fun character to have at the show, and Sheen plays him perfectly.
Yeah, especially when that hand says hello and goodbye.
Yes, I mean, it was interesting as well, yeah. I mean, that's the other side of my top moment, really, is we see him bringing Luther back, and effectively this new power, as you say, Chris, the resurrection piece. But he can't, as such, keep him in that plane.
Yeah.
But, which is kind of interesting, given that Luther ultimately survives, at the end after everything that goes down. But it's even then as well, both Klaus and Luther having been killed, lost to death. I just love how, there is the welcome to my hood kind of comment from Klaus.
Yep.
But both of them are there sat eating a pizza, watching TV, but arguing about pineapple on pizza, or at least Klaus arguing to Luther, who's not really paying attention because he's engrossed in this documentary on TV and contemplating being a speck of sand in an infinite universe that does it have a shape, or is that, or no shape, and so on. I just love this because, it is the crucial question of our time, is whether pizza is a viable topping for pizza. Oh God, it's a viable topping for pizza. Yes. That would be a stacked pizza.
Yeah.
Of course, it is. With the super duper documentaries, it is another one of those crucial philosophical and existential questions that needs to be addressed, I think, on the podcast, is whether pineapple is a valid, viable, ethically right topping for pizzas. For me, it is. Love it.
So we're back to Team Cap versus Team Iron Man.
It probably is, yeah.
I don't think so, because I love pineapple and pizza, Chris.
Oh, so we're all the same.
So we're all the same.
Okay,
yeah.
I swear this is just someone in Netflix HQ that is trying to bring this argument back. This argument went out in the 90s. Everybody loves Hawaiian pizza. It's like the number one pizza on the list after tomato pizza over here. So there's no doubt.
Margarita,
that's the one. Tomato pizza.
Can I have some tomato with my tomato?
I think it has something exotic on it called cheese.
It does. Unless you don't want cheese on your pizza, of course. But like we've gone as far as now getting grapes on pretty standard on pizza. There's loads of toppings. You have whatever option you want on your pizza. Go ahead. People have chocolate on their pizzas if they want to have it.
There are dessert pizzas now.
But for some reason, the agenda in Netflix is trying to push that this is still an argument. Like, they even showed that it was on Stranger Things, a show set in the 80s. This is a show set in current day. So they think this argument's been going on for 30 years, that nobody is allowed to have pineapple on their pizzas.
But weirdly, you do get into these moments where someone definitely doesn't like pineapple. And I mean, the argument did progressed, I think, to broccoli on pizza, which as well, which I kind of quite enjoyed. Or whether you should drizzle, picante sauce, or dare I say, even clear honey over your pizza, which
still
is
all fine.
Gorgeous.
Yeah, it's still all fine. Things that anybody can do with a pizza. My big tip for pizza, though, is when you're ordering it, order one half, whatever you want, and the other half, another pizza, and then you get a completely fresh pizza every time. If you order the full pizza off the menu, it's hardly ever fresh. There you go.
Well, that is true.
That's my tip. But yes, love pineapple on pizza.
Excellent. So we're all effectively Team Iron Man.
Yes.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Team Cap, yeah.
No,
Pineapple on pizza, the American way.
But anyway, I digress. So
Controversial.
Very controversial. But anyway, I think that is the pizza and pineapple issue addressed. But I just love this interaction between the two of them. And then, they're both, Luther really we have to go back and warn everyone that effectively, Dad is a huge bug, an alien bug. He
killed me, man.
And he's the one that killed us. So, and the fight. And certainly when he punches Klaus through kind of the wall of different death realities for people, and Luther just follows him, and he's like, oh, it took me like 700 times or whatever, or the 10th time to work that one out. So I just really loved all this interaction. Really good again from Klaus. And I think Luther, just in this season as well, has just been absolutely superb. In some ways, he was always the anchor man. To the point from the last episode where, I just did everything Dad said. So it almost is like kind of sober reference point of what Reggie Hargreaves wants to happen. And of course, he's anything but that. He's just really, really been good this season.
Absolutely. I also kind of see you can buy that Luther would be willing to punch Klaus through walls for the rest of eternity if Klaus doesn't do what he says. It's kind of, you can get, that's how annoying Klaus is to him right now.
Yeah. And then also just like finally, the whole Luther and Sloane sort of, they get their goodbye in a sense.
Yes. Absolutely.
And which was really good, as he disappears. Although then, I kind of like the way Sloane was posed with the arms up, because it then reminded me of Five trying to kiss the mannequin as well, or thinking he was kissing the mannequin in the Sparrow Academy back earlier in the season. So it was all kind of, I thought all this was like really good fun going on with everything else that was going on in this episode with the hotel.
And still a really significant pair. We were talking about it earlier on with Klaus bringing Luther back from the dead. He truly brings him back. He's not a ghost or anything like that. He plays a central part in that fight. He's able to take out one of the Guardians, effectively pick them up and does a nice wrestling move, slamming them to the ground. So he was fully corporeal for that.
Oh, absolutely.
For those moments until Klaus can no longer hold on.
Yeah.
He did something similar back on season 1 with Ben, if you remember. He brings Ben's ghost and corporealizes him in the auditorium cinema kind of theater, where Ben had the kind of tentacles and stuff. But this is to another level. This is like...
Yeah, absolutely.
Like, Ben was still ethereal to a degree.
Yeah.
But this is just the next level. This is like, basically... And I have to say, Sloane's moment, like, that was great to see. Like, but again, the only thing I'll say is the angle for the CGI was just, they didn't need to keep that angle, because you could see she was just basically holding the air and they had put him in and then slowly kind of just removed him from the CGI, from the, like, or from the VFX, and she was just left holding air. There was no cut. And it was just like, she was just kind of like, it's like she's hugging a big, massive, invisible balloon.
Yes.
And she's just like, ah. When you're hugging someone or something, you're squashing your face against their chest. Your face gets mashed a bit, but her face is perfect. You're like, there you go. You should have cut the angle. That was again. I think I'm resenting that she got to kind of hug his big masculine body.
Oh, I really wasn't watching that closely, I must admit.
I was. There you go.
Chris, what about yourself? What's your big moment from the season 3 finale?
Yeah, I'm going to jump straight in and just take the end, that big, massive end, because essentially it's the best part. Like, we talk... I don't agree with the redemption of Allison, or she didn't get a redemption.
No, she didn't.
That's the worst part. Like, she did one final good thing, but still gets exactly what she wants. But it's a really bad. It doesn't feel earned, if that makes sense. Like,
I know.
She basically, they took her right to the edge of being the villain, made her the villain, and they went, "Oh no, she didn't kill her family, so she's not that bad." But she still gets what she wants. She still literally enacted her plan and, like, reset the universe.
I think that's it. I think it feels a little odd that she gets all that despite everything she's done. Although, you know, in fairness, she does slice Reggie's head in two, and you see sort of the alien goo coming out and sort of the non-human sort of cross section. But because Reggie is also there at the end and has survived that, it didn't really make any difference. And so it is that it does feel a bit like she's being rewarded just purely for that deal that she's done. And that's what Reggie was keying in. And so that's ultimately what happened. I mean, you see him saying, you don't go on, the sigil stars, because otherwise he was going to run it till they died effectively. Yeah. So I guess he got enough of the stardust, the lights, out of them in order for it to correct the universe, or as far as we know from that ending. But yeah, it didn't feel that earned. And I think when you contrast it with the fact that, where did Sloane go? So you, as I say, like from my top moments, you have that really great sort of goodbye between Luther and Sloane after his death at the hands of Reggie. Oh, he's able to say that, and she's able to say it back to him, you know? And then Luther comes back. Mm-hmm. And Sloane... I mean, what do they say as they come out of the doorway into the Reginald Hargreaves kind of memorial, the Hotel Oblivion memorial park? It's that, oh, she was right behind me. Yeah. But she's not there. So what happened to Sloane? Because then you see Luther saying, I need to find my wife. Where's she gone? Has she been sucked back into that machine that was at the Hotel Oblivion? So, and that felt, it would have been nice to have given Luther that kind of positive end as well. And that's the thing, there was a little bit of a contrast there, I'm guessing. Yeah,
because essentially so Reggie basically programs the computer 100% the way he wants it. Reggie programs the computer, let's say, to 90% of what he wants.
Yeah.
Then Allison kind of stops short of that programming and stops short of it just killing her family. So essentially, 70% of Reggie's and Allison's plan goes into effect.
Yeah.
Because she still touches the big flashy red button of do not touch. She just, as you said, they just took a bit, not like, there's going to be, it's like, well, I didn't get all of my master plan, and I didn't get my mansion and my sports car and my pool. I got my sports car and my mansion, and my pool just wasn't delivered.
Maybe that is also why Sloane didn't make it, because he was cut off by Allison killing him in his calculations and wasn't able to calculate Sloane's return through the doorway. I say that knowing that I've just said, but as they come out of the door, they do say, well, she was just behind us. But whether that meant in some kind of other passage or back in the machine, I don't know. So it's really, I mean, firstly, I would say the whole Sloane thing it feels to me a bit like an unnecessary mystery, actually. But you're just kind of wondering, where is she? But at the same time, I guess you can piece together reasons why she wouldn't be there, potentially.
Well, yeah, there's no other member of the Sparrow Academy there except for Ben.
Yeah.
Every other member of the Sparrow Academy, if they're resetting the world, and so many of the Sparrow Academy are dead, they should all be coming back here in some way, especially the ones that died in the Hotel Oblivion, at least. There's a few of them that were taken out there. So you would expect that, but it is surprising that Allison gets her daughter and her husband from the 60s back as well. It's not been reset back to when Allison was...
Oh, no, it's rewritten.
Yes.
Reality is rewritten in this case.
Exactly. And so that's it. Anything is possible. Yeah. And yes, Ben is a member of the Sparrow Academy that's there, but he was also a member of the Umbrella Academy. But
that's Sparrow Ben there, definitely, though, because he's already having fights with the rest of the family.
Exactly. So it's not about it being Sparrow versus Umbrella, I don't think. It's just unclear.
Yeah, the program wasn't fully loaded.
Yeah, exactly. That's all I can think it is. Yeah. So,
but beyond that, for me, it's just they took the step with Allison being the villain, gave her a slight, oh no, she saved him by killing Reggie, but then she didn't get any repercussions. And I think that's hopefully what they do next season, because she is a villain now. They have taken her. She did everything. She did it for noble reasons. Her kid and her husband.
I will just point out that Allison's argument the entire season is that she's the only one that's had repercussions when everything goes right for everybody else. So that was the reason she was going on this path to get her child and husband back, was because she's the one that's lost people every time that something's happened. So if they start off the next season and Allison's getting repercussions again, then they've just repeated their storyline.
Oh yeah, no, I get that. I think we talked about that previously.
Yeah, I mean, and as well, I get that. I get that storyline of Allison. I don't think she's the only one, because Viktor lost. Both Harlan because of Allison. Yeah. And also Viktor lost Sissy, not to any time jump, but nonetheless, there's a loss there. And then they've all lost their parents, that identification of that, certainly with Klaus looking for his mother. So,
and he lost David.
I get it. It's possibly a bit rawer for Allison because of all the other stuff associated with how her life has been more difficult from being in 1960s Dallas as well. So, but it's also her motivations, I think, are just different from the others because of this.
And I can see the repercussion is, if they do get a season 4, the repercussion is that the rest of the Umbrella Academy go to her because she got what she wanted and they didn't. They've all lost their powers here. Yeah. That's what's happened in the moment, is they've all had that power taken out of them to control this machine for Reggie, and she was given the special place of not having the power is taken from her. So if you want to set up the villain for next season, that's how you set them up. Yeah. So I think
it's just they took her to the edge, gave her one step back, and then just kind of one step forward. So she's still at the edge because she still killed Reggie. It was just, I would have preferred you took her to the edge, give her the push, let her leap, and make her the true villain for next season. And
but I don't.
Could have had. Anyway,
I don't think that's the show. I think the point is that we know her motivations. We know where she wanted to get to. She stepped back, killed Reggie, saved them, or saved their lives at least, and then she got her reward. That's the story. It's not about having to redeem the character or having to punish the character. It's just a straight down the line story of what's happened. This is the character, and this is what's happened to her.
That's a valid point.
What I think has happened here. Well, we've jumped from the start to the end. I guess I'm going to talk about the middle bit, which is, I guess, the battle amongst the members of the Umbrella Academy versus the guards, which was cool. There was some really cool moments in here. I love this splitting apart of the group. I love that the groupings that got together, and then by the hotel itself separating and moving around, each member of those groups forming different parties. There's a great group there with Ben and Sloane and Five, taking on one of the Guardians. I thought that was probably my favorite, because you get to see some of Sloane's powers again, and and how aggressive and angry she's getting, and the way that she's using that anger of losing Luther to battle against a Guardian. But it takes all three of them to take down the Guardian there. I thought that was really cool. I love Diego and Lila just running away from the Guardian. They just throw knives at them, and then Diego gets a great shot through the eye, and then when they realize that hasn't done anything at all, they just leg it the opposite direction. And that's the Guardian that they have to take out right at the end of the episode. And then, of course, Lila does get an opportunity to take out a Guardian, because she meets up with Viktor, who's got a power that she can use. So the two of them team up again. We had seen them battle opposite each other last season when we had Lila taking Viktor's power for the first time. This time, two of them teaming up against a Guardian and take it out pretty handily, crushing it.
Yeah, definitely. I must say as well, I really liked Lila and Diego in this, the duo, just with her going back to the sushi carousel as well. You know, getting a bit ticked off with him because he almost like blurted everything out, and that insecurity from her, you know, it was easier with Stan because I could basically just mind mess you till you said, you know, get lost. Effectively, I didn't think you were going to turn around and say, yes, I would be with you. You know, so it's just, you know, she's kind of just, she's having a moment where she's just questioning everything. You know, everything. Yeah. I really like that in the middle of this Rubik's Cube type hotel, changing all the corridors, you know, and then even, you know, Diego trying to protect her and the baby. Love the fact that, just as you say, Viktor just walks past and the door just blasts off as she just picks up that power
I could use. Yes.
Exactly. And then effectively when they all come back together, she just gives him a slap and then a kiss, because it's like, you know, don't do that again, but I still love you. Yeah. Yeah. Just really, I love these two, in this episode.
And they get another happy ending. One of the happy endings of the show, right? The two of them stay together, now have no powers, and now they can just go off and live their lives and not have to worry about any of this superheroing stuff, right?
And now he's really Batman.
Yeah.
He's just a poor Batman.
That's it. That's my big moment from the episode. I think that's all the major moments from the episode to talk about. Anything else that we didn't talk about?
No, I think that's literally the episode.
The only thing I wanted to bring up on the notes was, you know, I have no idea what that mid-credit scene with Ben was. I have no idea of the significance and the importance of that to the story. Maybe I've forgotten something from episode 1, season 1. Yeah. Maybe it's something related to a possible season 4, if that's where they're going, but it made no sense to me. Other than he's maybe happy now. It's just showing, but I still, you know, and because he was always this absent person, even in the Umbrella Academy, just that moment. But, it kind of made no sense to me.
Yeah, I'm agreeing with you. I think
confirmed by Steve Blackman that this is Sparrow Academy Ben. So Justin Min didn't really know what the scene was about when he was asked to do it. He was just filmed with the scene on the train. He has no particular insight into what it was for. My only takeaway really is the first season and second season of the show, Ben is attached to Klaus, stuck with him forever, effectively for eternity. Yeah. And then the second season, Ben's constantly fighting for approval, fighting for his own way, fighting for leadership, being surrounded by all these people that he doesn't really like, until basically everybody at the Sparrow Academy is killed off, and then nobody likes him in the Umbrella Academy, and now here he is on his own in Korea. Seems happy, basically. I think that's another happy ending for Ben, is what it felt like.
Yeah. Okay.
But that's my only interpretation of it. I could be completely wrong.
Final note from me is just we finally learned the cockroaches. We learned the origin of the cockroach, that they were one of the Guardians. Or they were part of the Guardian,
or controlling him,
Or controlling.
They may be the higher life in this situation. But I thought that was really a cool visual, actually,
Yes.
with the holes in his face, and they come streaming out after being, that's just after he's been,
the first time you see it is when Luther pile drives.
Yes,
basically,
exactly.
And a few come out, and then when they eventually kill the Guardian, all of them stream out.
But I like the
His
way
whole
they
body
go
just
back
collapses.
in as well when he resurrects.
Yeah,
Sort of controlling all the muscles.
exactly.
But ratatouilleing the whole thing. But there we have it, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, brollies and dollies. We have come to the end of the season. So it behooves me to say one final time. John, what did you think of this episode?
I really, really liked it. I'd give it 4 bug-faced Guardians out of 5. But again, it's to do with the characters. I think the whole Matrix machine, whilst very cool, it kind of just brought home to me that maybe they just kept the intentions of Reggie quiet for too long. So it all felt like this sort of crash bang wallop of stuff coming in here, which makes me feel like there may be no season 4, even though apparently there are plenty of ideas on that. But there's certainly the option not to do a season 4 on the basis of this, because they wrap up the whole reason for the Umbrella and the Sparrow Academies, which was to bring Reggie and his wife Abigail back together, and it shows the significance of that, off-world sort of evacuation from Reggie's home planet. So
Never forget your first apocalypse.
no, exactly. So there's lots I liked in here. I loved Hotel Oblivion. I loved, as I say, just the Rubik's Cube nature of it, and all the different teams going off and doing their thing. The characters, because it just brings character interaction, and these characters are fantastic. I loved Klaus and Luther's aspects throughout this episode. I love that Luther does get his return, even though he disappears again, but then back for good, just with everyone having lost their powers. But things just kind of seem to flood in very quickly, and even, there may be no significance, but I'm like, where's Sloane? Why the Ben mid-credit? Actually, what are the cockroaches? Are these the creators of this portal? Are they the nemesis species of Reggie?
Yeah.
So, maybe there's more to Reggie. Certainly him and his wife seem to have a very disconcerting look on her, as though, kind of world domination might be about to take place between them. So who knows? I mean, I guess that started anyway, given he was in a skyscraper with, what was it, Hargreaves Enterprises, I'm guessing. So I really liked this, but I think there was a real, and I think it was fitting, but there were still aspects of this that just came too rapidly, too quickly, and actually probably could have been threaded through or drizzled at different stages through even just this season 3. Like the off-world shot from season 2, where you kind of go, oh, what's that?
Yeah.
So I absolutely really enjoyed this. I love the season. I love these characters. And I've really enjoyed the season. So 4 bug-face Guardians out of 5.
Fantastic.
Derek, what are your thoughts? Final thoughts on episode 10, Oblivion?
Yeah, really enjoyed it. Really enjoyed the season overall, but it is mostly the characters at this stage. I do think that it's quite stretched, but I don't mind spending time with the characters, so that's absolutely fine with me. I've heard recently that Gerard Way has planned up to 10 volumes of this of this comic book. I thought it was actually done. I thought he'd finished his comic book runs at Hotel Oblivion, but he has plans himself for many more stories in this world. And Steve Blackman's saying the same. He has plans for many more seasons of this show, a number of more seasons for this show. But it's been a
Interesting.
while now. Netflix haven't confirmed a 4th season at this stage. But
Yeah, interesting. That sounds like a George R.R. Martin situation going on here, whether Steve Blackman will take up the mantle in completing this before the original comic authors.
kind of. Except I've read Gerard Way's comic books, and Steve Blackman has added a lot of great story and characterization and storylines and context and great things to Gerard Way's straw man, let's say, of a comic book. So he's taken a lot of inspiration from Gerard Way. I'm not sure whether he needs any further entries in the comic book series to continue on. But if he does, if he comes back with season 4, I'd be really looking forward to seeing it.
Yeah,
I'd be
absolutely.
really looking forward to seeing these characters together again. They're a great group of people to spend time with on Netflix. That's what I'll say. I really enjoyed covering it as well. What about yourself, Chris? What do you think?
Absolutely loved it. Like, I kind of showed my hand a long time ago on this show and this season. It's kind of not even a guilty pleasure. It's just a pleasure. Like, I enjoy the characters. I would like to see a season 4. I would just like, cause I would like them to tie it up a bit more nicely. Much like other shows that have out there. It's like, hey, this is your final season, and they're given time to wrap it up.
Yeah.
Like, they're given that final season to close all the final threads, bring it all together, and just kind of give everyone that happy ending in a nice way. Give Klaus his David. Like, let him find his David again, and all those types of things.
Yeah.
So I enjoyed the hell out of this. It's a fun romp through kind of Armageddon again. And I think, yeah, give five his one more wedding again, and don't let him live in an iron lung, because he did what he was not supposed to do. He saved the universe again.
Yeah. And he got his arm back.
Yes,
Yep.
he did.
Yeah.
And Diego got his fingers.
Yeah, but we had expected, and there is the moment where Five loses his arm, and that was supposed to be the indication that he was barreling towards being the man in the iron lung, but by the end of the episode, he has that arm back. So loads of opportunities in the 4th season for him to lose that arm again.
Yes, exactly. Because I think that's what he could do.
Yeah.
But there we have it. Should we go one out and pour one out for our homie that is Sloane? She is no longer with us at the end of this episode. So let's go to the Carousel Club for our final pub quiz question.
Yes. Well, no, it no longer exists. We're having a quick drink at the Hotel Oblivion before the time machine or the alien machine comes along, or maybe it's the sushi carousel
Maybe.
pub quiz. Yes, I see your eyes light up there, Chris.
You had me at Sue.
Yes. It is episode 10, which means, of course,
Final
it is question 10, the final question. Who are the members of the 3 groups sent to explore Hotel Oblivion for the sigil?
Ooh, interesting. I don't know that off the top of my head. Interesting. That's the 10th question in the pub quiz for Umbrella Academy. So put all those answers together, email them into us to feedback@tvpodcastindustries.com, and you can be with a chance of getting some Umbrella Academy goodies. John, do you want to give the question one more time?
Certainly. Who are the members in the 3 groups sent to explore Hotel Oblivion for the sigil?
Oh, now I get the question. I was suddenly thinking back to all the people that had gone through the hotel over the years. No, okay, it's the 3 groups, the 3 splits. That's it.
Yes.
Got it.
But gentlemen, let's get some feedback from our fellow Academy alumni for this final point and this final episode. First up, we have a message from the future from the one and only Dr. Bob Phillips, who has this to say. Wait, what? How? But no. What a crackling wrap-up of fizzing particle extraction, semi-zombification, resurrection, and disempowerment. Is the universe reset? Is Reggie still a lizard man? Where's Pogo? How long has the universe got before something about Viktor destroys it? 10 days or so? some great performances across the whole cast. Allison and 5 were probably the best chances to stretch. And while I'd like a season 4, I could rest easy with these 3 in a lovely trilogy.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, thank you so much, Dr. Bob. Whiz, bang, pop, particle, extraction. Always good.
Yes, I wonder if Pogo has been reformed in this universe reset by Reggie. Maybe. Or maybe not.
Yeah.
Maybe Pogo is a man now.
Yeah.
He got his wish.
Maybe.
He's a real
yeah.
boy.
Yeah. And I totally, with Bob, I think the performances across the cast are just really good. Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, thanks, Dr. Bob.
Absolutely. Thanks, Dr. Bob. Good to hear from you. And I'm probably with you in that. I'd like a season 4. This cast is great, but I think this could be a lovely trilogy of seasons here as well. Excellent. We also had some feedback in from Coffee and Vodka, who has some thoughts on the final 2 episodes. He says, "Greetings, fellow depowered defenders. Fast forwarding to the final 2 episodes and attempting to dig my way out of a very weird hole with this series. The Umbrella Academy is very much the salt and vinegar chips of superhero team snack feud viewing. Sharply salty and sour, but so good you can't stop. Allison is a prime example of this. Her drive to get her family back has driven her into proto-villain territory, making a deal Reginald ultimately uncaring of his endgame or her fellow siblings. In the end, she had a large part in sacrificing Luther's wife, Sloane, to make it to her husband and daughter. To make matters worse, it's now in a world where Reginald is Lex Luthor. Her adopted family is powerless, and number 1 is set up to become the mind-effed vengeance-seeking baddie against both Reg and Allison next season. One of the main differences between Umbrella Academy and Doom Patrol is that in the latter, most of the characters are head cases, flawed to the point of stupidity. Their misadventures are earned misstep by misstep. But in the former, this family is made up of siblings who, while quirky on their own, are anything but stupid. When put together, however, they suddenly become incapable of agreeing on the order of the letters in the alphabet. In short, the hand of the writers is a bit too evident sometimes. Saying all this, however, that writing as well as set design, music, direction and acting are all excellent. And I can't wait to be bothered with all the inexplicable chaos of season 4. 4 Golden Guardians out of 5. Peace and take care. Coffee and Vodka.
Excellent stuff, Coffee and Vodka. I think that, yes, sums it up. I cannot wait for further chaos if a season 4 comes. But like Bob and like with Derek, I'm happy with the 3 seasons of this as well. And I think I really need to start watching Doom Patrol. I think I might quite like it. I am maybe intrigued to watch it.
Yeah, I got through a few episodes of it. It's fun.
Yeah, I'm gonna dive back in, I think. I think just while we maybe have a bit of a break coming up before Christmas.
When do we have a break, Chris?
Before Christmas. Those few days between 25th of December to the 1st of January.
I see. Okay.
That small break. A bit of a break, I said. I wasn't the description there was very lacking of details.
Yes. And I think as well, Coffee and Vodka, I really like your description of Reggie as the Lex Luthor in this universe, for sure.
Yes. Yeah, be really interested to see what he does do. Like maybe we do have to follow Jared Way's comics to find out what happens next with Reggie. We got a little extra feedback and some news since we recorded the podcast, which I'm going to go through now. First up, an email in from Christina Jones. Christina says, "Hello, my dears, long time no hear. I have been thoroughly enjoying your Sandman and Umbrella Academy podcasts. I'm just so busy I never get a chance to send anything in, but alas, I am here." I haven't finished the season yet, however, I do want to express some feelings. Allison, I appreciate adding layers to this cookie-cutter-like character who kind of has been put on a pedestal since season 1 as she owned her own flaws and be on the path to correcting her behaviour. But not this season. She is emotionally pushed to the brink and lashing out in disturbing ways, and I must say, fair play to them for casting aside the trope of black women only allowed to be the supportive friend or the villain. She is neither, just humanly chaotic, adrift searching for a lifeline. It also gives the actress so much more to do. On to Klaus. Klaus is always a delight, though he's so Nathan from Misfits I can no longer discern the characterizations. And Luther, I'm glad y'all have been enjoying him because I have not. I find his need to be accepted to the point of joining another family and being conflicted between this in the span of 3 days ridiculous. I find myself constantly yelling for him to grow the hell up. Maybe that's his charm, but it's grating, and I've yet to see any growth in him as a person. He just pivots from situation to situation, happily nonplussed or constantly being the butt of the jokes. Now, Christina did say she didn't finish the season, so I'm wondering if his actions in episode 9 or 10 might have swayed him over to the other side. I think he becomes a bit of a more active character after he gets married to Sloane, I think. I think. I'd love to hear from you, Christina, on your thoughts at the end of the season, whether he's moved for you. Christina goes on to Viktor. She says, it was a long time coming, but I'm glad someone pointed out that Viktor killed Pogo. That's been left on the table too damn long. Best acting from Elliot Page in 3 years, and the tension between him and Allison feels believably heartbreaking because I personally am on both sides of it. Yeah, that was really good that they called out that his actions had major consequences.
Yes, exactly. I mean, there's been a really good part of it, and I think as well then that relationship between Viktor and Allison is, as you say, it's almost cruel because of the timing of it, but also because you can see both sides of it as well. Exactly.
Says Christina, Lila, I have actively hated this character, just never clicked for me, and her betrayal of Diego was just cruel. However, in episode 7 of the season, for the first time, I felt I understood her.
Excellent. I am glad that you are beginning to understand Lila.
She is a bag of crazy cats.
She is, absolutely.
Yeah. But I think, there's that moment where she kind of drops her guard for the first time, really around episode 7, isn't it, where she tells Diego, and to Christina's next point, Diego, you are not the father. He must have been so happy there.
But I think as well, the final 2 episodes, you have much more sort of sober stuff coming from Lila.
Much more honest stuff, yeah. Yeah, absolutely.
And yes, to Diego, I can well imagine that he is, well, at least pleased that Stanley wasn't his.
Yes.
But he is a father.
Yes, exactly.
Yes, and the father to the little bump growing inside of Lila.
Yes, but not to 11-year-old Stanley.
No.
Which was a lot to take on, although I do miss Stanley.
I do. I really do miss Stanley. I hope in season 4, with all the craziness that happened, that he somehow makes it back.
Yes, that would be
he was
cool.
Great.
That'd be cool. I might have something for you on that in a second. Finally, Christina says 5. Gushing about Aidan Gallagher is hard not to do. The young man has chops. He heightens every scene he's in. He doesn't at all seem like a child, but a man of so many years around his much older cast, and he handles it with this smooth lethality that reminds us he spent decades killing people while they were figuring everything out for themselves. He is by far my favourite character and always has been. His threat to Viktor was Chef's Kiss performance. I was really happy they went more into the commission, and I am excited how things tie back there, because that's truly intriguing stuff. That's all I got. Cheers, peace, hair grease, and Black Girl magic from Christina from Black Girl Couch Reviews.
Excellent stuff. Thanks so much, Christina. Yeah. And yeah, Aidan Gallagher as 5 is just superb.
It's brilliant. Yeah.
I have to say that there's so many of these characters that I really enjoy. And maybe even if you don't enjoy them, the fact that it's so heartfelt from you, Christina, that maybe it's because they're written so well.
There you go.
But I think, Diego 5, Klaus, obviously, and Lila are really just great for me.
Yeah,
I love them.
Yeah.
And Diego and Lila as that duo, really good.
They're really good. And, Viktor and Allison themselves both have great characterizations.
Definitely.
They're not the most funny characters on screen. They're very serious throughout the series, but I do like both of them as well. But yeah, this whole cast together has made this season so much fun to watch, even though it's been stripped back because of the filming conditions they were under. But let's go on to the big news, because we haven't mentioned on the podcast, as you probably heard throughout the podcast, we were questioning whether there was going to be another season. Officially announced this week, Umbrella Academy will return for its 4th and final season. So one more season to go under the instruction, I suppose, of Steve Blackman once again coming back for a final season. And there was some interesting little tidbits that came out in the article that announced it from the Netflix official fan site Tadum, which I do love the name of.
Yeah.
I always like that name. So they had a bit of a conversation with Steve Blackman. First up, they asked him, what can you tell us about season 4's new timeline? The Umbrella Academy is now in a new world without their powers and seemingly split up. And Sloane's missing. That's a lot of change. Steve said, it certainly is, but the siblings are always up for a challenge. This new timeline has been dictated by Hargreaves, who reprogrammed the universe at the end of the season 3 finale. But because of Allison's actions, he didn't get to finish what he started before Allison pressed the reset button. So the siblings losing their powers isn't going to be the only oddity in this timeline. There are new enemies who want to see them wiped out of existence. But how do they manage without their powers? Is there even a way to get them back? The stakes have never been greater.
Ooh, interesting.
Yeah, so we were right. I think Chris's estimation was about 70% of Hargreaves' plan to reprogram the universe may have been affected by Allison. So that's why they don't have their powers anymore, because he's reprogrammed that universe. One of the points that Netflix Tadum asked Steve Blackman about was that end sequence. They said there's another new Ben to deal with. What does that season 3 post-credit scene mean for season 4? Can you tell us anything about how this Ben will differ from Umbrella Ben and Sparrow Ben? Steve says, let's be clear. This is Sparrow Ben. The question you should really be asking yourself is, what the hell is he doing on a Korean subway train reading a book about pottery? Odd, right? Of course it is. This is the Umbrella Academy. As every good Umbrella fan knows, no moment in the show exists in isolation. Everything we see has meaning, and this moment is no exception. Ben has a reason to be there, but you'll have to wait till season 4 to understand why.
Excellent.
Is that interesting?
I'm very interested in that, because that whole scene made no sense to me.
Yeah.
And it was, loads of questions. Well, is it Umbrella Ben? Is it Sparrow Ben? Is it a new Ben?
Mm-hmm.
Given that in the first answer, only so much of the universe has been reprogrammed. Mm-hmm. And of course, given that the book was in Korean on the front, didn't realize it was about pottery. Not that that makes it any clearer for me.
Might as well have been in Korean, really.
So it might as well have been in Korean. Yeah. But it's good to know that there is some significance to that, because it was difficult to understand it. And certainly because as well, there was a finality about what had happened and as to whether we would get a season 4. So,
well, exactly.
I guess that ultimately the lack of clarity around that mid-credit scene, I guess, is the biggest hint that there would be a season 4 in order to explain and understand it.
Well, yeah, and I think the loss of Sloane is probably a big hint as to that we would be coming back to these characters for Luther to find Sloane and where she's gone and those kind of things. I also like the description that effectively Hargreaves and his wife are overlooking this whole city. I think one of our pieces of feedback was talking about that as well, from Coffee and Vodka, saying, is he like the Lex Luthor of this new universe that he's created with no powered members of the Umbrella Academy anymore in this universe? So there's lots and lots of threads to be pulled out, but really exciting that there will be a season 4, which will be the final season, telling the closing story of the Hargreaves family. Also confirmed, every member of cast signed up to come back for next season.
Excellent.
So no messing about with somebody disappearing. That's been also confirmed. So thanks so much again for that feedback, Christina, and great news again.
Yeah, good stuff.
Right, back to John, Chris, and me from the past.
Yeah.
Thanks so much for joining us, everybody. Really good to have you on board for Umbrella Academy Season 3 on TV Podcast Industries. We do cover loads of shows on TV Podcast Industries. Make sure you subscribe to the podcast over on tvpodcastindustries.com. You get access to our coverage of The Sandman, which we're covering at the moment. We're on to episode 5 of that show. We are also covering She-Hulk from the Marvel Cinematic Universe, a nice comedy show to lighten the tone every week as well. There's a 9-episode, 30-minute show.
Yep. And I'll just chime in. It is She-Hulk, Attorney at Law, for those who don't know.
Mm-hmm.
Proper name.
Indeed it is.
Absolutely. That's it for our coverage of Umbrella Academy, though. Again, thanks so much for joining us. If you do want to get in contact with us and let us know your thoughts about Umbrella Academy, you can email us to feedback@tvpodcastindustries.com or pop on over to our Facebook group at facebook.com/groups/tvpodcastindustries. Let us know your thoughts. We will be wrapping up the season just with the final answers for the pub quiz question.
Yes.
So we'd love to talk about any thoughts you may have in the series that you didn't get to share.
Yes, and if you've liked what you've heard this season from us and you want to support us, why not head on over to patreon.com/tvpodcastindustries, where for a single ongoing $1 a month, you can help those little cockroaches spin in the wheel. Yes, we have a number of cockroaches living in our servers, and they basically help keep the servers going. And essentially, if you do that, if you sponsor us, we will get cockroach feed and keep them going.
Okay.
Or if you really want to, you can help build for a one-off donation on buymeacoffee.com/TVPI. You can help buy those cockroaches enough caffeine that they can build their own suit of armor and run in a human-sized wheel.
Interesting.
Yes.
This is giving me flashbacks to the mid-credit scene with Ben again. I don't understand what's going on.
I don't either, but I do want to say a huge thank you to all of you who support us over on Patreon or who bought us coffee through Buy Me a Coffee or who've shared the podcast, because sharing the podcast is
sharing the love.
Absolutely.
Oh, yeah.
We'll hopefully speak to you again next time on a future episode of the podcast, but thanks for joining us for all 3 seasons of Umbrella Academy here on the Umbrella Academy feed on TV Podcast Industries.
Yes, thank you for being here for the final episode of Umbrella Academy Season 3, Oblivion! Oh yes, it's been great. Thank you so much, and speak to you again soon.
Yes, thank you so much for joining us, fellow Brolly Dollies and Academy alumni, if you will, for our coverage of Umbrella Academy Season 3. As always, it is great chatting with you through the podcast. As always, remember, keep watching, keep listening, and welcome to the reset universe of tomorrow.
Bye.
Bye. Oblivion!